Hello everyone, can you hear me properly? Perfect. So number one, thank you for joining today for a very interesting topic for the people who are not still too hungry, already 11. So number one thing is that today, as you know, over the past decade, there's been a lot of innovation, a lot, on the blockchain technology, and there are so many that it could be interesting to try to connect them together. So that's the topic of today, why interoperability matters. So first, before anything else, I'm Yves-Michel Leporcher. I work for a wonderful company where we try to make traceability with blockchain, but I will also leave the ground to Helmut first to present himself very briefly and to turn the pass.
Hi, welcome to everyone. Nice to be able to speak about a bit here about us. I'm Helmut Siedl. I'm a visionary of one of the oldest still existing blockchains in the ecosystem, which will relaunch this year with one of the newest unique technologies as a base.
Yeah, hello, my name is Juan Tirado. I'm actually working from Bitpanda. More specifically, I am the engineering manager for the Pantos project, which probably some of you already know around, which is a multi-blockchain token developed, from research from an open source perspective.
I am Jenna Peterson with the Injective Foundation, supporting the Injective ecosystem, an L1 that launched in late 2021 and has traded almost $40 billion fully on chain. We are expanding our connectivity to other ecosystems, and I'm glad to be part of this panel.
Hello, good morning. My name is José Manuel Panizo, working for the European Commission. In the Commission, we are doing regulations, but also we are implementing digital solutions. And this is why I'm here. I'm the EPSI, the European Blockchain Service Infrastructure team leader. Thank you.
And hi everyone, my name is Mauricio, also known as Bunny. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Search on Dora. We're a multi-chain search engine and block explorer, which reunifies every single new chain, roll-up, L1, L2, L3 out there. We're looking to bring every single chain back to a single unified interface that lets you transact with every single on-chain good and service.
Thank you very much, all of you. Actually, the first thing I believe we all need to know, maybe Bunny, you could help us. Well, interoperability is nice, but could you provide us a broad overview of what exists right now on the market?
So I like to be very practical when it comes to these types of conversations. When it comes to interoperability, as a very quick definition, is interoperations of different entities. In this case, these two entities are blockchains. Interoperability effectively seeks to solve how do two chains that are not connected interact with each other, interoperate with each other. So that's been a question that we've been trying to solve for, I guess, since the very first blockchain was born, Bitcoin, 2008, 2009. Since then, there's been a few ecosystems that have given it their best shot. Among some of them, the team at Polkadot and Cosmos came up with some more native embedded interoperability solutions, one which use a base layer to be able to allow two different chains to go back to the base layer and communicate with each other. Another one, embedded interoperability between the same within the mechanism itself of the chain. So therefore, interoperability was embedded into every single new program that was deployed on this chain. And then what we've effectively seen played out, and I just checked DeFi Llama to see what are the top 10 interoperability solutions this past, I guess, until today. What we've seen is that every single new blockchain has come up, for better or for worse, with their own interoperability standard. If you want to interact with a certain chain, you are able to use their native bridge, meaning their own standard they came up with when they were developing their chain. Is this the best solution? Maybe yes, maybe not. It's created a very fragmented approach to interacting with all these different chains. That's one. Two, there's a couple other, I guess, intent-based interoperability solutions. They came up with the whole notion that maybe the user can express the intention to do something, and the user doesn't need to know how this intent was fulfilled. That is an okay approach. It's transacted billions of dollars up to today. Two of the largest companies in the industry, Uniswap and Across, have created this standard to be able to allow for interoperability across different EVM-based chains. So it's been a very successful one. And a very third quick example, we've seen interoperability driven by products like Circle, which created a cross-chain transfer protocol, which again has also transacted billions of dollars, in which they created interoperability specifically for the USDC coin, as well as now more recently for EuroC, which is the Circle European stablecoin.
Thank you very much, Benny. So that's the point, okay? We have USDC, USDT, all these wonderful stable coins. But the point is, why do we need it? Maybe, Jenna, you could help us. It seems that you've been doing some helpful, I would say, work over the past years with Injective Labs.
So I'd say Injective is leading the cross-chain narrative. We understand that money and digital assets can't be siloed. They need to be able to traverse multiple blockchains. We have an SVM roll-up. We're very excited that by end of year, we'll have full EVM compatibility, which will open a lot of doorways for the Injective and Cosmos ecosystem. IBC is working on connectivity to other major blockchains like Avalanche. And some of the other initiatives we have this year are native stablecoin issuances, as well as real-world application deployments. And again, money needs to be able to move seamlessly. And right now, institutions and retail have a very painful exercise if they want to go ahead and deploy their assets anywhere in DeFi beyond where they were initially launched. Developers love the ability to build on Injective and have connectivity to other blockchains. Users love the ability to take advantage of assets that they bridge into Injective to deploy on our DEX, Helix, or to be able to use on borrow and lend applications as collateral. And we are proud to be part of the expansion of ecosystems. I think previously everyone was concerned about creating, growing, and expanding their own ecosystem without realizing that if we're going to go ahead and change the global financial structure, it's going to take a village. It's going to take every ecosystem, not just one single ecosystem.
Please note, I've been contacted at some point in time as a professional by also the Central Bank of France. They try to really do it also. The problem is that they don't always have all the time, money, skills, so it's really an ecosystem work. We all have to work on this topic. And more specifically, the European Commission is really making an amazing job trying to simplify our work. And I think you can explain us, José, what's being realized.
So when we are talking about something that sometimes is not very tangible, like interoperability, we, the Commission, together with the Member State, we drafted what we call the European Interoperability Framework, which is a set of principles and guidelines to provide some guidance about interoperability. We consider that it is needed because interoperability of digital services is something that is crucial and is embedded in the spirit of the European Union Treaty as part of the free movement of goods and services. And also we consider that the lack of interoperability is a big obstacle for the European digital single market. And for that, this concrete framework is providing a model based on 4 layers that they are defining the different angles of interoperability. They are considering the legal, organizational, semantic, and technical interoperability. Talking quickly about these 4 layers, for example, the legal interoperability, we are working with different domains that they have different regulations, and it's something that is crucial to reduce and to reduce digital solutions in a harmonized way. We can give you an example. In EPSI, to provide electronic seals and signatures to verifiable credentials that can be verified in the blockchain, we are reducing the legal framework of electronic signatures defining the eIDAS regulation. For the interoperability, organizational interoperability and governance interoperability, in EPSI, we have defined a trust model. I mean, in EPSI, we are implementing trust between companies in the way that in Europe we have been building during these years. We have actors that can do things, for example, trusted issuers of digital informations, and other actors that are accrediting these actors to do these things, what we call the trusted accreditation organizations. In that way, we are implementing a trust model, very flexible, to define and to implement in blockchain trusted relationship between organizations. And following the last layers of interoperability, talking about semantics, we need to understand each other. So we have to define a common way to represent the information. In EPSI, we are using open standards to define the semantics of the different use cases. For example, in EPSI, we have implemented the European Learning Model, which is a data model to represent official diplomas that can be verified in blockchain. Just to finish, the last layer, and maybe the most important, is the technological interoperability. For that reason, we have drafted technical specifications, for example, to issue, to verify a verified credential in blockchain, to implement this trust model in the blockchain. But what we see is more important, and this is what we have been developing this year, we are providing conformance services. So they are self-services, which every company that wants to deploy a software or a service based on the EPSI specifications, they can use this self-service to provide and to receive a report that what they are doing is aligned with our specifications.
That's absolutely amazing. Please note that European Union is really trying to help everybody. We have Gaia X project with data spaces. You have the EPSI trying to create framework. They also provide an infrastructure. The problem, as we can see, is that 99% of the time, the problem then happens to, okay, we have some great definition. How do we technically apply it? So I will believe that we will need some help again from you, Benny, to explain how the technicality are applied now. Because that's good to have interoperability, but why? What are the challenges you face, or even Jenna after that? Why is it so complicated to say, oh, you know what? I have my technology. It's going to be easy peasy, seamless.
I think the fact that I like to take a historical approach to this is the fact is that blockchains, by the sheer nature of us being a hyper decentralized community and ecosystem, we've come up with a lot of our own ideas of how to make interoperability work. Beyond that, we've come up with our own metrics that we like to optimize for every single new chain to be stood up on and then be worked on. Every single chain has their own SDK. There's some chain clusters which are able to more easily talk to one another because they were developed by the same SDK. We've seen pretty good interoperability amongst these clusters, especially within, let's say, the clusters of optimism with the superchain, and then Arbitrum with the orbit chains, because they were able to finally reach consensus as a community to use the exact same SDK and be able to interoperate with each other. They're able to more easily communicate. However, this more so follows technical guidelines as opposed to any compliance or regulatory guidelines. There are some nuances to, let's say, intent-based models in which if it's truly permissionless, you have a relayer network, which is the one that fulfills your order or your intent from, let's say, go from place A to place B with token 1, but you don't know who's giving you the liquidity for that. You don't know if it's a trusted entity that is completely regulated or if it's someone engaging in bad practices that has been banned from this, that should be banned from this network. So I think that it's actually really helpful to hold these places for conversations to actually figure out, okay, we want to build this technology. We've built already technology that works to interoperate with different blockchains. Which ones are the ones that work the best?
Thank you, Benny. Maybe, Jenna, you can also provide us some feedback of your technical experience of why it takes so long from one technology to connect to the other. Typically, in the context of EVM, why do you believe that your company is really doing its best regarding timing, complexity, and yet safety? Because it doesn't look like there are billions crossing your system. So tell us why it takes so long.
I think it's more of an issue than technological integration. There's also economics, there's also egos, there's also focus. Everyone in blockchain is trying to get so much done with so little resources, and it wasn't initially a focus. Everyone was going to build the best and brightest blockchain and had no need to connect to anyone else. And I think that narrative is changing as everyone realizes blockchain should connect in many cases. And how do you overcome the technical issues? There are a lot of people like Dora building When we rolled out SVM, that was in conjunction with Eclipse and Cascade. So there are partners that you can use to overcome the technical hurdles. Then it becomes a question of how do you go ahead and incentivize dApps to go ahead and work with other ecosystems, since people right now tend to launch in one ecosystem and they're maximalist, right? Like trying to talk to a BTC maximalist to go ahead and start using Ethereum is an interesting conversation. That's not a technical issue necessarily. It's a fundamental issue or a BD decision. And Injective realizes it's really important for the next generation of financial primitives and deployments to be cross-chain. It's in the developer's best interest, it's in the institution's best interest, it's in the user's best interest, which is why we are rolling out in EVM, why we rolled out SVM, why we're excited that IBC is expanding beyond the Cosmos ecosystem to other L1s like Avalanche. To use a Web2 example, when ATM cards first rolled out, you could only use your ATM at your own bank. And then slowly they started allowing you to use your ATM card in your own country. And now I can take my ATM card and use it anywhere in the world pretty much. They might charge me a small fee, but I can use that card anywhere. And I think we need to get blockchain to that point. If you want to use a dApp, you just don't even think about the technology. You just want to use your ATM card. I would say a bad comparison would be the telco network. I have a cell phone, and yes, I can roam around the world sometimes, but it's very, very expensive to do so. So I'm sure everyone here at the conference has an eSIM that they use when they're here in Spain if they don't have a Spanish cellular. And then when you go to Token in Singapore, you get another eSIM. That's a pain point that hasn't been solved well, I think, for the use case. And blockchain is aware that the technical implementation needs to be done right. And that's where I think Dora and other people in this industry are really trying to get us to that finish line.
Regarding the eSIM card, we can have a look to the perfect people from Hacken, they can tell you the way not to have such a price, The third point of interest is that, well, okay, we are interoperable between Ethereum and whatever technology, could be Hyperledger, could be Cosmos, could be the name you want, Polkadot. Everybody say, yeah, the future, metaverse, whatsoever. But before that, distant future, we have a real problem today, immediately. Oh, I love you a lot, but please note that we have more Bitcoin transaction today than we have on our wonderful card. So it's larger. No one would have believed it. How did you do that? Thanks to other technologies like layer 1, 2, 3, whatever you can imagine. Helmut, can you tell us more? And why there is some kind of issues of interoperability, not just between, let's say, different protocol, but also between layers?
Okay, let's try to explain it. I think when we talking about interoperability, then we need to understanding what is the main reason what's driving us go there, yeah. And there one thing is freedom of choice. That when you're running a project or you're a user of blockchain technology, you can run your project on top of that blockchain, which have the proper abilities. It's not all layer 1 chains have the same abilities, yeah? And so interoperability gives us the freedom of choice to run our projects on top of that chain we want, yeah? And the other issue we have is scaling, yeah? Because there's not that one blockchain which can handle all the work. So we all hope that blockchain is growing and growing, and there won't be one chain who can handle it all, yeah? But if one chain cannot handle it, 10 chains can. If 10 cannot, 100 can. And if 100 don't can, 1,000 chains can, yeah? So scalability is solved with interoperability. And there are now multiple paths we see now, yeah? One path is going through a middle chain, yeah? For example, Polkadot or Cosmos. So other layer 1 chains attached to the middle chain, and they can interact by utilizing the middle chain, yeah? Then another solution we see, I call this central chains. Yeah, there's one chain in the center, example Bitcoin, and there are some protocols on top of it, like Lightning. Yeah, or there's Ethereum, and then a lot of layer 2 chains are attached to it, and they interact via the center chain. Yeah, and the third approach is there could be many independent, decentralized layer 1 blockchains with different abilities, and multiple different open, decentralized multi-chain protocols connecting them. Yeah, and out of these three solutions I did mention here, I think it's the only one which you could call to be following the core idea of blockchain technology as it's written in the Bitcoin white paper. Yeah, it's the only solution that is really decentralized and where if one point is failing, the whole thing is not breaking apart. The failing thing is only failing for itself, the rest is still operating. This is what decentralization is meaning. Yeah, and yeah, this basically.
So if we summarize actually layer 1 versus layer 2 or layer 0, why is it so important?
Yeah, layer 1 versus layer 2, I think it's really the decentralization part. Yeah, it's on the layer 2 is attached to one chain. Yeah, and if this chain have issue, the layer 2 is not working because it's not really independent blockchain. Yeah, it's a like an expansion of a blockchain. Yeah, this and I think the future is most likely all three of the paths I did mention before working hand in hand, because there's no reason why not a construct with a middle chain and a construct with a center chain isn't able to take part in multi-chain protocols interacting or helping many layer 1s to interact with each other. Yeah, so it's all together will form the future of a heterogeneous interoperable blockchain, which consists of many blockchains able to interact with each other. Yeah, and it's the freedom of choice for projects to choose where we place our project on top.
Thank you very much. So I understand we also have all around the sector quite a problem regarding, okay, it's connecting. You know, just like when you connect with new friends and you feel a bit sick at the end, you know, it's kind of aspect. We call that cybersecurity usually in our realm. So how do we actually manage cybersecurity? Because as you know, with with Juan, who is working for the wonderful stand, you know, I think it starts with Panda. So the point that cybersecurity is just a cornerstone for people to trust, especially if you don't know them. So how do you actually believe it's very important in the context of multi-chain and interoperability?
Yeah, that's a really good point there. So I think there are like basically two kind of systems, right? Those that have been hacked are the ones that are going to be hacked, right? That's the only distinction we can make here, right? So in this sense, you can, and let's be completely honest about this. In this world, crypto world, we cannot trust absolutely anything, right? So in other kind of solutions, other technologies, people normally diversify their solutions, right? You don't trust only one single supplier, right? You just go for several of them. I mean, you are not going to put all your assets on just one single infrastructure, one single player, right? You try to just diversify the entire thing. So in this sense, building a multi-blockchain solution, I guess should be your first goal if you are building a project based on tokens, right? Because we are seeing this thing like every day. Solutions that come here, they look promising, right? And in 2 months, surprise, there's a security break, or your stuff is compromised, or your project built on top of that thing is compromised, you know, years of development just gone wasted, right? So in this sense, for example, in Bitpanda, and that's why I have to mention the Pantos project, right? We'll be building something with a long-term idea of building something that can be sustainable, right? How do you make it sustainable? Okay, bring different blockchains into the game, right? Put a token that does not really depend only on one single blockchain. Make it compatible with different actors, right? How do you decide which actors are going to come? They will change, right? What we consider today secure, tomorrow is not going to be secure, for sure. Or there will be new players coming around, will be more interesting for our project, right? So we are going to build tokens for our project depending on several blockchains where we can really choose which one is the one we really need, let's go for it, build it. Because right now we know most of these projects are basically short-term design, right? Looking for some sort of profitability in 6-7 months, right? Not really looking for the mid-term, long-term. I mean, 1 year in the crypto blockchain world is like 10 years in regular industry, right? So you never know. So it's much better for you to really, if you cannot really be sure about the security of one system, which I think is our current situation here, just try to approach as many solutions as you can do, right? And for that, just look for those tokens that can support multi-blockchain solutions, right? Look for serious solutions there, long-term, probably open source stuff, which is always kind of a way to have a community supporting this thing and try to make it happen, right? So my conclusion will be like, please don't trust one single blockchain. Try to look around all the ecosystem, right? Don't build something just focusing on one single entity, because today is going to be the solution, tomorrow maybe not, who knows, right?
So the beauty of the game is that actually, as you know, by Bitpanda, they propose plenty of blockchains. I think there's a reason behind it. That being said, okay, you want to secure, that's great, that's nice, but you need to whatever happens to reach a level of economic sustainability, you have regulation, you have technicality. So if you think that building a blockchain is easy, enjoy. The point of importance is that beyond being a very, what can I say, inspiring path of a career, the point is that we may need some compliance and regulation on that. So we have seen some weird animal, we call that Mika, if I'm not misguided, just like the rock, except that it's a bit more right out of the bat, complicated to apply than just by purchasing a rock. Can you explain us a bit more, please?
Yes, so I think it's important to mention now the EIDAS regulation. Maybe you are not aware of this regulation, but I'm pretty sure that you are using, not every day, but maybe almost every month, a tax declaration. And in the tax declaration, you are signing the tax declaration using a digital certificate, and maybe you are adding a digital timestamp to this tax declaration. So precisely, the ITER regulation is regulating this. So this regulation is providing a legal framework for trust services. Trust services are digital services that are key to provide the maximum legal recognitions of digital transactions in Europe. Nowadays, this regulation has been amended in 2024. The previous version of the text was in 2014, and they included these trust services, for example, the issuance of digital certificate or the creation of digital timestamp. Just for the definition of these trust services in the regulation, the outcomes of these digital services, for example, the certificates or the timestamp, first, they have the principle of non-discrimination for legal effects, and second, the admissibility in legal procedures. Also, this regulation is defining the process of the qualification of trust services. This means that the European Commission is defining the rules and the procedures, including cybersecurity measures, to have the maximum legal recognition and the stronger legal effect, because these services, they are audited and they are implemented using the higher level security. So this was the previous version of the text. And now in the version that was amended in 2024, the European Union included electronic ledgers as a new trust service. Electronic ledgers are defined as a service provided by a trust service provider that is providing an immutable, transparent, and chronological set of data records, where a trust service provider is guaranteeing two things: the uniqueness of the sequence, and second, the authenticity of the origin of data. So I'm saying this because thanks to the inclusion of electronic ledgers in the new version of the data regulation, electronic ledgers will have, as I said, the principle of non-discrimination for legal effects, and second is guarantee the admissibility of the information that is stored in the ledger for legal procedures. The European Commission, I think the deadline is until May 25, is going to define the process to audit electronic ledgers and to have the certification of qualified trust service. With this qualification, electronic ledgers and the trust service provider that are providing these services will have the stronger legal effect and therefore the higher legal certainty of the information that is stored in the ledger.
Thank you very much. So if I summarize, it means that before this regulation, if you made a transaction on any kind of blockchain, okay, we call that contractual aspect between two companies, not really impactful, you know? After this regulation, it means that, oh, it's on the blockchain. If it fits with expectation clearly described in the MiCA and something called EIDAS, then it has value in front of a trial. It's really game changing because whatever you start to put on your system is worth something. It's very different from, oh, you know, it was on my database, see you. And as such, it is really game changing. So thank you guys for actually making such an excellent job and to ease our life without blocking us. And the point here, I wish that each of you present how in your specific company, how you help this so-called interoperability. Give you an example. Right now, I work for a small company called SkyThread. And you know, airlines have been forever been challenged to try to exchange data. You have had projects like Gaia X, amazing stuff. Problem is that it takes like forever and it's not anymore really European. That's politics. And what we try to do is to put together a thread, magic one, based on blockchain to connect ecosystems of data. So just have a look to the website. You will see it's amazing. You come, you click on buttons, good for you. And the second point is that you connect your data, you are secured, we are using Hyperledger Fabric, and altogether it breaks data silos in each of the airline company, MRO, LSO, LSC, you name it. This kind of stuff. What do you do, Helmut, by Diamond?
Okay, so when I did mention upfront that this interoperable blockchain future allows project builders freedom of choice where to host their project on top, then why you need this freedom of choice? The freedom of choice makes sense because the different layer ones have different abilities, yeah? And the time is too short to explain all the different abilities our blockchain would provide when it's launching end of the year. Open Alpha is already running and Open Beta is launching mid of next month, so developer can also already try it out. But I want to mention one, for example, where I get most of the positive feedback from people. Yeah? And we call this front-running prevention. Yeah? Front-running prevention, maybe people understand there is a tech vector mostly used in DeFi projects, where your knowledge in which order transactions are processed by the network can give a educated attacker some possibilities, let's call it this way, yeah? And to my understanding, it was a pretty simple solution we found, but I didn't see it anywhere else. Our blockchain is full EVM compatible, but it's combined with a different consensus engine, which gives us different abilities. And one of these abilities is, for example, improved random numbers. And we using the improved random numbers at each block we create to random shuffle the transactions, how they are processed. And so you have no advantage because you know in which order transactions are processed because you don't own it. You don't know it, yeah? Simple solutions, but only existing on this blockchain and not on other blockchains. We have all solutions also, but the time is too short. It's like a dynamic block time, instant final transactions, improved censorship resistance, as I said, improved random numbers, and so on and so on. So I think maybe there's somewhere a QR code, or if not, just visit us at the booth and find out more. We have very open development, so everything going on is visible on GitHub, and a long white paper. Maybe if you're a project builder, or you're just interested in technology, or you are a developer just curious what you can do on top of this, check it out.
Thank you a lot, Helmut. As you can see, sometimes you have real geeks and fake geeks. We have ties, you know. And the point of interest, how do we do by Bitpanda to actually create this interoperability? Except buying stuff.
That's a good point. I've heard open source thing here. Opening stuff is really, really crucial for this team, right? Opening your development, letting people to take a look at what's going on there. Build your communities, not only developers, right? something more than that. Build a community of people who are really interested on the stuff you are building, right? So in our case, Pantos, I invite everybody to take a look at the stuff we are doing there. Our repos are open. You can also run your own service nodes there. You have documentation for that. Participate on the whole ecosystem there. If you are a developer, go for that. But something that we should really understand is that there is no project without community, openness, right, and some sort of vision, right? It's not only about being profitable, making a ton of money, huge profits. That's not the way it should really be. It should be something that can stand in the long term, so people can really adopt and know that their projects, the underground infrastructure, the underground layers you are going to use in your projects is not something that is going to disappear in 2 weeks, right? So in this sense, Pantos, we are happy we have Bitpanda behind us, really supporting us. But more than that is this community of people who are really with us in this journey. They have been with us for a while. And also we bring researchers and academia into the game, right? So we can put into place new technology, new research ideas, and keep growing, maintaining, and just moving forward, because the solutions that are working today, tomorrow, we don't really know. Yeah.
Oh, trust me, it's Russian fashion. If it worked yesterday, it will work today. The second point of importance is that, according to you, Jenna, because actually your visions is quite enlightening. You say, well, it's again still about people, so how do you engage your communities? How do you create it? How do you actually play your part?
How do we create a thriving community? Well, we've got a great team, Injective Labs, that has been working for years to convey the value proposition of building on Injective, trading on Injective, and we have a quality product talking about front running. We have implemented frequent batch auctioning, which market makers and traders love because we prevent front running. I come from a TradFi background, so I understand capital efficiency. And that is something that blockchain is starting to wake up to, or as people move from a traditional trading environment into crypto or blockchain, digital asset space, they appreciate Injective on that front. It's been more of a snowball effect. When you have a good product, you have a great team, you deliver on time, and you deliver a product that people want. I think the community just kind of naturally builds. We've got a great group of ambassadors that help spread the word, that engage people who aren't familiar with Injective. And through our collaborations with Solana, with the SVM rollup, with Ethereum, we're outreaching into these other communities that aren't aware of Injective, Cosmos, and the speed and the low transaction costs of our network almost sell themselves, which is a great position to be in.
That's amazing, but to be honest with you, I created my own company. We created something called Neurochain. Building a community is not easy. So you can ask, really, I like you a lot, but so, Bunny, how do you build your community? Prove us I may not be so wrong.
We take the approach of user empathy. And what I mean by user empathy means that we don't really care about the crypto power user too much within Dora. Who we really care about is about the people that are looking from the outside in. People that are still very curious about crypto and haven't made the jump just yet. Be it due to qualms about security, safety, it's too complex. Yes, computers are really complex. I had to learn a lot, too much about computers to just work and have a company in this space. But not everyone has time for that, right? We all have our own day-to-day lives, things that we have to do. So what we do at Dora is that we actually work really closely with the foundation teams at all of the chains that we work with. At this point, we're working with 20 chains. A lot of them are EVM-based. We work closely with the Solana Foundation. We work closely with upcoming teams that are still about to announce their own roll-up strategy and their own proprietary interoperability solutions. We try to reunify them all, aggregate it, make it as simple as possible to actually have users interact with the good on-chain goods and services in the exact same way that we don't really think about what are the inter-online operability solutions whenever you use a regular search engine like Google. We very much try to get users through the line and honestly just talk to the user as well as talking to the developer to see where the developers' minds are at when it comes to how their applications or their goods and services actually interoperate with all of these teams.
Amazing. Just to prove you were able to create communities, just there on the left, there's a small booth called My Popcorn. If my not misguided, it's a proof of participation. Scan the code, answer the questions. It's going to be useful because it will show that at this event we do stuff and your feedback is more than welcome, really. So first off, if you want a community, everything starts here. And remember, we are part of, I believe, still yet, maybe not in every country, but in a democracy. So in the democracies we have in Europe, how, with your system, with your approach, in your position, how do you help this community to thrive? And not to be killed, maybe, as we could have seen in some Far East countries.
Okay, so we do believe that EPSI, as is a solution that is supported by member state and the European Commission, can provide the sometimes missing trust layer for other blockchain projects. So we are providing a trust model, as I said, a trust framework using open standards, verifiable credentials, decentralized identifiers that can be reused in other blockchain projects. I can give you the example of the EPSI ELSA project, which is a project of the UIPO, the European Union Intellectual Property Office. And here our colleagues, they have deployed an amazing platform to ensure the authenticity of products in Europe, in the supply chain, to ensure the information that is coming from the right brand owners, that they own the IP rights. So they are using EPSI to provide the trust layer for verifiable information of brand owners. And they are combining this with minting NFTs using other blockchains, for example, in Polygon, adding verifiable credentials that can be verified in EPSI as traits or as metadata in NFTs minted in other blockchains.
Thank you very much. Something also I need to notify. A few years ago, people say, yeah, blockchain is just a stuff of geeks. Is it? We see it in the airline industry. Not just me, myself, and I. You can go have a look at a company called GoDirect by Honeywell. You have a few amazing projects who had to die because of political reasons, not because of economics. Because actually you were fighting something of heavy interest. Please have a look to these wonderful companies, top 10 right now on the market, you will see. Some other times you have thriving stuff, like the Injective labs. They do their part. You can also with deep tech, you could see today with Diamond. Or if you really want to say, okay, guys did a real amazing UX UI experience, go to Bitpanda. Whatever happens, the point is that everybody is doing his part. It's not just a concept. Interoperability is a requirement. So if we make a wrap up, thanks to what we have seen today, number one, it seems that the EVM is the go-to. Seems because actually most of the projects right now on the market capture the heavy duty realized by the Ethereum Foundation over the past decade. But it doesn't mean it does everything. Please have a look to the people at Radix on the right. They have an amazing permission mechanism. You can have a look. And it's not the only ones. Last year, people told me, oh, you know what? Cosmos is the go-to market for interoperability. Is it? Please have a look. It does work, but for the hyper fanatics, and trust me, I know what I'm doing, maybe the centralization effect is not exactly what was asked for. It works, but maybe we re-centralize. The third point is that we also have amazing projects. Some of the people were there last year, like Polkadot, are trying to do something. And when I was talking with a project manager, he says, we are going to connect them all. Okay. Enjoy. Else, you help the teams who want to connect to you, that you give them some feedback, SDK, training, and you take way more energy to try to create an ecosystem approach and maybe less a geek approach. And the point of interest is that thank you all of you for putting your interest in this topic. Thank you all of you to join this community and to make the difference. We are not in Far East. We do not want to make a Far West. We want to build something better, stronger, and so that we don't have the real world of 1984, the wonderful book of Orwell, coming through life. So please again, on the left, there's a booth. Click and subscribe. It's going to be cool. Thank you for joining. If you have some questions, it's a key moment of truth. If no, press the button, like, subscribe, leave a comment.